I'm happy to spend the next 2 hours, 1.5 hours with you and with our guests. And in fact, you will see that the 4 speakers we have invited will fit the title and will fit the session very well. Because we have 2 colleagues who will talk about the life sciences, the potential, how it can help to address problems in this country. And we will also have 2 people who can, from their own biography, tell something about the importance of international cooperation and the potential and opportunities that will come for Egypt and its researchers as a system. So to begin with, I would like to introduce the panel to you. We have also Mohammed Yaha, who will be the rapporteur of the session here. And before I will say some more general words about the collaboration between Egypt and Germany, I would like to present the panelists to you. As it still is ladies first, even though we are in a very emancipated society, I would like to start with Professor Hannelore Daniel on my right-hand side. She has come especially. She has flown in from Germany. In fact, she just revealed to me that she has fulfilled a kind of childhood dream for her, because she has been fond for your country, for Egypt, for quite some time, since she was 14, she told me. And she just never made it. So this is the very first time, and I think it's a privilege to have her here. Professor Daniel is a specialist in the physiology and biochemistry of human nutrition. She has been with the Technical University of Munich for some time, since 1999, Frau Daniel. She has a lot of awards. She has received awards and is member of several societies. I would just like to mention the American Institute of Nutrition and the award of the German prestigious Herbert Quandt Stiftung. On her right, I would like to welcome Dr. Lamis Ragab from Cairo University. She is a medical professor. She has not yet been a DAD scholar, but I'm sure there will be an opportunity for that as well. We are always joking about that. Dr. Lamis has been with the German school DSB in Cairo, and she has had, I think, throughout her professional career, collaboration with German colleagues, German universities. She is also very active in the field of quality assurance, and she will also elaborate on that. To my left-hand side, I would like to introduce to you Herr Mark Bücking. Dr. Mark Bücking is from the Fraunhofer Society. I don't know whether everybody knows the Fraunhofer Gesellschaft. It is one of the very prestigious German research organizations. In fact, it is renowned for their applied approach in research. So whenever Fraunhofer is dealing with research, there's a very, very strong connection to applicability and, in fact, to companies and industry. Dr. Bücking is head of Department Environmental and Food Analysis, and he's also the spokesman of the Fraunhofer Alliance Food Change Management. And he's also come especially to Egypt. I don't know whether for the first time. For the first time as well. And we have to make sure that these ladies and gentlemen have a lot of Nile water to drink so that they come back, because we want them back. Somebody who has not been here for the first time but still has arrived from Germany is Professor Dr. Ahmad Aziz. He is with the Freie Universität Berlin, and he actually is someone that was supported on a DAD scholarship. He did his PhD in Germany, and he is one of the very few that has not returned to Egypt, at least not yet. You never know what is going to happen in the years to come. I was just saying in the session before that 90% of the people we can support, or more than that even, in the case of Egypt, do return and find their way in the higher education system and the research system. You have chosen to stay in Germany, but do international collaboration with Egypt, and you will also talk about that, Professor Aziz. Okay, before we get an input about the potential of life sciences, I would just like to kick off with a few remarks about collaboration between Egypt and Germany in the field of higher education, in the field of science. It has been, in fact, a very long tradition, a very long story. And the story is more than half a century old. Egypt is one of the prime countries for collaboration with Germany. It is actually the only second country where the DAAD, the German Academic Exchange Service, opened up an office, and that was as early as 1960. So we're going almost more than half a century, and we're still going strong in the sense that we have a wide network of collaborations, of people that work with us, with German universities. The DAAD has been committed to Egypt for a long time, and after the revolution we have been very lucky because we have been approached by the German government because the government inquired whether we had good plans, whether we had ideas to increase the collaboration to help Egypt with the transformation into a democratic society. The whole thing is branded the Transformation Partnership. This is something that is on a state level between Germany and Egypt, and we have the mandate for the areas of science and higher education to develop these programs and to encourage these new initiatives. In fact, we started some months ago. We are doubling our efforts in terms of money. We have been active to promote 20 new university partnerships. This is on the institute and faculty level. We have lots of opportunity for short-term measures between German partners and their Egyptian counterparts with the so-called short-term measures. They may be workshops, they may be summer schools, they may be exchanges, they may be invitations of German colleagues to Egypt, all sorts of things. A lot of these things are possible, and the only thing that it really takes is quality, because this is our guideline, academic quality. We have, with this brand transformation partnership, we will be setting up 2 new joint masters between German and Egyptian universities. In fact, we started with that some 5 years ago. We currently have about 4 German-Egyptian master programs running, and we will come up with 2 more. Last but not least, something that is actually in the making that will probably be called for in the second half of this year is research grants for returning PhD holders from Germany. We want to equip those best PhD holders with money to set up research groups, to buy facilities, small-scale facilities, to hire assistants so that they can add up their own research groups. Just this as a kind of background information. This is the opportunity, this is the potential we have. We may want to engage in a discussion about that. Before we do that, I'm happy to hear the input from Frau Professor Daniel. In fact, you were just giving a presentation, so it's the second one in the space of like 1.5 hours. we're very thankful for you to do that, and please, you have the floor.
The question is, where is my presentation? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure really to be here, and when the DID asked to come, and I said, yes, I will be there. Some of you may have heard my presentation upstairs. This is the science that I do. What I do now is step back, let's say, go a little bit onto the Google Earth perspective in terms of defining some of the research needs between malnutrition and overnutrition and what Germany could contribute here on the science level. Now, I'm coming from the Technische Universität München, the entrepreneurial university. That's the place. There's my office in there, and these are some of the tools and models that we have available there. It's a great place to do the science that we do. Now, changes in food systems, changes in society, changes in economic systems, and of course, science developments. I touched upon some of the issues in my previous talk. What I would like to do is go on to the top level and asking what's going to happen. The future is uncertain, no doubt, but this is the predicted development of the population on this planet Earth. And the rather optimistic projections predict then by 2050 some 10.4 billion people. Yeah, this is the pessimistic projection here, ending at 8 billion, and this is the most probable one. And this means we are now at 7 billion, as you know, by the end of last year. We have a considerable increase in world population that needs to be fed. Now, the problem is that arable land per person is going to be decline if we project it here to 2030. There may be a small increase in the arable land available, and if we improve further agricultural production, we can produce more food. Yet, on a personal level, the arable land goes down. Now, what goes up here, and this is of course spectacular, is the predicted increase in consumption of meat and animal products. And this means in the next, let's say, 40 years, we have to double dairy and meat production, which is almost impossible to do. And of course, this has some consequences in terms of rethinking what we do if we eat. So, there's a real threat to the whole system. And this is the increasing volatility of the food prices. They're really here a challenge. And this shows you here for some of the commodities over the last couple of years that this is going up. And actually, when you go in Europe, at least to the gas station, you can predict what you are going to pay the next time you go into the supermarket and buy some foods. Because the same thing applies then to the correlation between the gas prices and the food prices, because transportation of food raises then the food prices as well. So this is a real threat, in particular for those that are currently malnourished. And if the food prices go up, and this can be predicted, it's going to be a real threat for the lower part of our planet Earth. The other way around, societies are changing quickly as well, and I showed this upstairs. So we separate the world now in the lower part and the upper part. The upper part is getting fatter, the upper part is getting diabetes, the upper part has a much higher incidence of cardiovascular diseases, of cancer, etc., while the lower part still suffers from malnutrition. Egypt, I marked it here. You don't have a great perspective in terms of disease development here for diabetes, predicted for 2050 here. You are in good. You're in the good crowd here, almost at the same level as US, Europe, etc. This is the ranking here. Egypt is taking position 9 in the hit list, if you like, in terms of women with obesity as percent of total population. I give you here a measure of the BMI, of the body mass index, that is used here to calculate obesity development. And this is also true then for the position you will have with respect to 2025 in the prediction of diabetes type 2 in the 20 to 79 age group. Yeah, you're in, again, in a good group here with a rather high incidence. Now, we know that this diabetes is a lifestyle-driven disease, no doubt. Yeah, and the body mass index here predicts that your increase in obtaining a diabetes type 2 increases 10 to 15-fold if you have a body mass index like me. Yeah? And what it shows you here, and this is a cumulative incidence of diabetes, where you do nothing to diabetics, or you treat them with a drug, or you submit them to a lifestyle intervention. It shows you the lifestyle intervention is much more effective than drug treatment. So it is a preventable disease, no doubt. And it's going to be one of the very, very big challenges for all developed societies, because here comes the problem. Yeah, if you have a young person, age 15, diagnosed with diabetes, this youngster needs drugs. And it's calculated here that in Germany, the costs per patient are around 3,000 euros per year. Now, 15 years when diagnosed. He wants to live to 60, 70, 80. Yeah, and every year, 3,000 euros. This is going to put our healthcare systems under enormous pressure. And in the end, we just cannot afford it. Even Germany will not be able to afford this. Okay, this is Egypt's population pyramid. Why did I put it up? Hey guys, you are the happy guys on this planet. Yeah, because you have a pyramid like a pyramid should look. Yeah, it looks different, and unfortunately it doesn't show it. I'll have to get rid of that. I need to show you the underlying European. There we go. Yeah, this is the underlying European pyramid in 2000, and that's how it will look in 2050. So we are by all means an aging society. Now, of course, this doesn't look like a pyramid at all. Yeah, and it also tells you that in 2030, we will have 2 young people in the workforce that have to support 1 senior person in terms of this pension plan and healthcare costs. And again, hard to imagine that this is possible. So, you are on the lucky side with your pyramid, and you will have a bright future, no doubt. The problem is, in aging societies, we not only have elderly people that we need to feed and keep them healthy, we also have new things that we even didn't expect, certain deficiencies, which we have never studied before, because we never had populations of people with 90 plus. So it is a great challenge for a society to take care of these problems in the elderly. And of course, I don't have to tell you, societies are changing also in terms of societal fragmentation, differences in educational status, employment opportunities, household and income, differentiation of lifestyles. We will have people that have very strange food intake behaviors. We have a differentiation of the nutritional status. So we are moving from a more homogeneous society to individuals with all the problems associated, for the good and the bad. So in the end, what do we have to do? The goals and the targets. Well, we have in the first place to provide more foods of high nutritional quality, and now I talk about the lower part of the planet Earth. Okay? By improved agricultural production, there's lots of things that can be done. By reducing the losses and the food waste, and if you think what, in particular, the Europeans in the end throw away, food that has never ended on a table or on a food plate, it's shocking. It is really shocking. And in the end, we talk about biofortification to get the essential micronutrients and trace elements into our foods to prevent the malnutrition, not only in a caloric level, but also with respect to nutritional quality in total. The upper half of the planet has completely different problems, and this is the goal here: promote healthy eating. We have to reduce the caloric density. We have to work on reducing the food, the fat and the sugar contents, so get out the calories, increase the micronutrient density, and make the healthy choice in the supermarket, in the restaurant, the ultimate choice. So, promote healthy eating for the elderly. We know that sensory science is needed here, improve the sensory quality of the products. If you're 80 plus, you have a hard time in getting the same flavors and senses out of the food. Increase the micronutrient density, improve nutrition in the institutionalized, in the elderly homes, because their nutrition is not of the best quality per se. Provide health promoting environments, do nudging for alternatives, provide incentives for healthy lifestyle, and make exercise necessary. What is nudging? In the supermarket, put the healthy choice up to the eye, for example. Make in a mensa, in a restaurant, the healthy choice being the number one. In terms of exercise, why does a stairwell has to look gray? It should be colorful. People should be animated to take the stairwell rather than the escalator. So in the end, we even may think that only those people that are disabled, by a chip implanted, approaching an escalator, can turn on the escalator. The rest has to go up the stairwells. And in the end, most important, provide political leadership in health promotion. Make prevention economically attractive. Everybody talks about prevention, but prevention is not paid for. So it's just political talking. Employ role models here and provide a proper political framework. So the last 2 minutes is a little bit of geography. There is Europe, there is Germany. This is the blown up German card. For those in the audience that would like to do some research here related to human nutrition at all levels that I talked about, these are the places which have dedicated programs in place on human nutrition, from bachelor to master, and in most cases even organized in graduate schools for PhD students. So we have the University of Kiel on the Baltic Sea, the University of Potsdam next to Berlin, Halle here and Jena. These are the 3 universities after German unification that started new programs from scratch, very much basic science driven on human nutrition and health. The traditional places like the University of Bonn here, University of Gießen, University of Hohenheim, and this is a place where I'm located here in Bavaria, in Munich. We are good. We are good in the basic sciences, no doubt. I mean, you can look up the rankings. We have a strong focus on the quality of human nutrition with respect to physiology, biochemistry, biomarkers, toxicology. I show here some of the places that also have the food sciences, and food sciences can be food technology and food chemistry. And these are places like Berlin here, like Bonn, like Gießen and Hohenheim, and also the TU München in Bavaria down. The other places don't have too much food sciences, here like Jena, Halle, or Potsdam. So, go to the websites of the different universities, you get their specific program. I can tell you I have a lot of wonderful colleagues between the Baltic Sea here, and the Alps. And I'm sure they will respond to you. Look what they do. It's a great place to do good research in human nutrition and in food science. Last thing, 2 dedicated human research, nutrition and food research centers, this time of the Leibniz Society, not only Fraunhofer. One is the German Institute of Human Nutrition in Potsdam-Rehbrücke, It was founded after German unification because the East Germany had an academy institute there, and we are proud. Some smart elderly men decided that this academy institute should be kept after German unification. So we have a great place there in Potsdam with the DIFE. And this is in my neighborhood here. It's the German Institute for Food Chemistry, the Deutsche Forschungsanstalt in Freising, Weinstefan, in our campus. So these are two places where you can do excellent research, both on human nutrition as well here as in food chemistry. And at all the other universities, you have all the combinations of programs. And finally, although I talk about the technical university, I talk about Germany, in the end, I'm a European by all means. I was a founding member of the European Nutrigenomics Organization, a big EU project with 17.5 million euros, where we brought together people from all those different countries here. It's a vital network. So whoever is interested more in the molecular and cell biology of human nutrition, it's a great place to be, in one of the member states here, and you have access to a big network. We're also putting input into European research programs of Horizon 2020, Framework 7 and 8, by the European Technology Platform Food for Life, and I'm running here as a, chairperson, the Scientific Advisory Board of a new initiative in Europe. These are the joint programming initiatives. We have a new one on a healthy diet for a healthy life. If you want to know anything about that, contact me afterwards. Thank you very much.
Dear Professor Daniel, first of all, thank you very much for your fascinating presentation. Second, obviously, it doesn't come as a surprise that the demographic pyramid in Egypt looks well, because after all, they invented pyramids. So, one should expect that. Second, or third rather, thank you so much for helping us doing our job in terms of showing all the landscape in Germany of, good opportunities, good study opportunities, research opportunities. So we don't have to do it. You have done it yourself, and thank you so much for that. Do you have actually doctoral candidates from Egypt in your institute yet?
No.
Here you go.
Yeah, but there are candidates here in the audience that want to come.
Good.
And they have been applying to the DID for funding.
So this is where it all adds up. Thank you very much indeed. You actually mentioned the rising amount of people in Egypt. Actually, 1.3 is the percentage by which the population grows. This is obviously a huge challenge. Having food is one thing, having secure food is another thing. And I think this is where Dr. Mark Bücking has his research focus. You kind of invented the food chain management at Fraunhofer, isn't that right?
At Fraunhofer.
Yes, he did. So we are looking forward to your presentation, please.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear Mr. Chairman, first of all, I would like to thank the DRD for this invitation. I highly enjoy to be here at BioVision, but a little bit more to be here in Egypt, to be honest. I have a wonderful time, and talking about cooperation, I think we are in a good way in Fraunhofer terms to set up some cooperation. First of all, for those who are not familiar with Fraunhofer, I have some slides before I go into the topic of food security, the interaction with food chain management, and what can food chain management contribute to food security. Fraunhofer is the European largest research organization for applied science. So we have in Germany about 60 institutes and about 20,000 employees. To keep it short and also in the spirit of this session, I want to draw your attention to these two last words. We have a senior advisor here in Egypt, and that's not without a reason. So we are looking also for research projects in terms of industry, but also we are looking for cooperation with scientists. Mentioning the industry is an important partner for Fraunhofer since we do applied science. So more than 1/3 of our income of the 1.8 billion euro per year is dedicated to interaction with industry in the one or the other way. I think that's very important to know if you do applied science, the best thing as a quality marker is to have a feedback from industry in terms of project. My institute is dedicated to environmental science and food science as well. So I'm heading the Department of Environmental and Food Analysis. And within my department, we are dealing with complex reference analysis. So there's curious big machines which look for traces in food. But we also do some bioanalytical work. We are helping the other institutes, and this is the topic of today, also to detect with fast detection methods contaminants and residues. We do some transgenic, non-transgenic approaches with our colleagues, which are also within our institutes for molecular biology. And one of my favorites is the food chain management. And therefore, we set up a Fraunhofer Alliance with 10 institutes in total, facing some major challenges, because food chain management is not just food chemistry. You need some other business fields to set up some philosophy in this food chain management arena. So it's also about logistics, and it's also about food microsystems, including some IT solutions. Our alliance itself is a platform which is contact for all kind of interest from industry or public institutions. And what we need, of course, is some input. So today this is a win-win situation. I'm looking for input, you are looking for input, so let's see how this works out. Before I start, we can set up the definitions of food chain management and food security. And I use the definitions of the Food and Agriculture Organization, which you can also visit here at BioVision. They have a very nice lady here, which already discussed with me some things about food security, and they have a very good website where you get all kind of information. So I think it will take days or weeks to scan all the possibilities. Okay, food chain management is a responsibility for a secure, healthy, and nutritious food. And it's the involvement of all stakeholders, which means not only the farmer, not only the processing, not only the supermarket, but also we as a consumer have to take part in this to guarantee a good food chain management. Food security, on the other hand, exists when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and of course, nutritious food. We just learned how important it is to meet their dietary needs and food preferences. Not every one of us enjoying insects from Asia, as an example, for an active and healthy life. Okay, so far so good. Talking about preferences, I just copied the world map, and you see Europe is cheap, and they are always looking for food safety, but also they are quite lazy, so convenience, or on the other hand, do some organic food interest. So, United States, functional food, functional convenience, McDonald's. Japan as well, Australia. Going to the so-called BRIC states, we have Brazil. They still have the question, should we invest in energy plants or food plants? So this will be a coming issue, for sure. If we go for China, they have increased massive meat consumption, so by more than 60% in the last 10 years, and they will continuously increase. And the animals need feed, and, well, we will come later to this point. Then we have Africa, which is, in some countries, not even in the status of have food chain management, because they talk about food security. There's food and water, not discussing whether this water is organic or not. But even if you have the same interest, you have different food chains. In the case of buying cheap food, if you are in Asia, it can happen that you find on the market very cheap food. While European people most likely go to Lidl or Aldi and buy some cheap food there. So same interest, different food chains. So this buzzword of global food chain management, which is good for every proposal, it's a little bit tricky. So we have to take care about the original preferences. Now going in the food security topics, and if you read them carefully, you will see they are relatively close linked to food chain management. Of course, the key topic of demand for food is very important, but you also have to take into account resource efficiency of land use, the fertility of the land, soils, water, then sustainable food production and supply. We will have strong problems even in aquaculture. They won't solve the problem of overexploitation of fisheries. Food waste, we had already this topic, will be of importance, but also some social points like improve the situation of farmers. As mentioned in Brazil, the competition between energy and food will be a hot topic, and to find out what's all about, we have another topic which is of course related to me and all other scientists, is to promote the investments and the innovations. We heard about 2050 with some bad news, and I have bad news for you because, again, bad news. In 2050, this 9 million people have a high demand, and look to China, on high quality food, whatever this means. And we have already increased in the last 50 years food production by 300%. And the outlook for 2050 depends on the statistic you read. I read something about 60 to 70%. It might be also 100%. But nevertheless, this will be a hard task, taking into consideration that we have also to face climate change, and therefore the decrease of farmland, increase pest of diseases, and we have not a global solution for that. We have to look into the region. So there are two things of importance, global and regional solutions. I want to give you some example what's going on. Food waste. I found a very nice publication from Godfrey and al. In the Science magazine from 2010, where you see food waste in the developing countries, in the United States and UK. I'm sorry, I did not find any information about Egypt, but I hope you're smarter than UK and the United States in terms of food waste by the consumer, because problem here, for our friend from the United States and United Kingdom, the consumer is heavily involved in the production of food waste, while in the developing countries the challenge is to get the food in a good shape from the farm to the supermarket, because most of the things happening on the farm or during the transport and the processing. So also here, it's nice topic, food waste, but also a topic which needs regional attention, not going on a global solution, because there are so many differences how food waste can be produced, so to say. And also, if you look from a global point of view, 30% of the produced food ends as food waste. So this could be already some solution to decrease food waste to the year 2050. Then I looked up in the National Strategy Plan of Egypt for climate change. And I think most of you know this story about the Mediterranean Sea, the Nile Delta. And you see also that there is a heavy influence on the salinity towards the production, but also to the mixture of fish. So there are regional challenges which can only be solved regional. And within Fraunhofer we have the technical solutions for some of this, but again, it's only possible within corporations. I just want to mention two things, not going into detail of the examples itself. I just want to underline two things. One thing is that it's not only having the technology, it has to be developed. So investment in innovation is necessary going along this research plan. Message one. Message two is that if we develop something, it should be accessible for the industry or the pharma or whoever will work with it. So this is here the important, easy handling, and it has to be cheap. So for this example, where you measure volatiles for food quality, not going into why and how, it's instead of €200 per measurement, less than €1. And the same you can do for bacteria. So we set up a program for the all-over food chain. And I think if you talk about food chain management, you can also talk about food security, which is following the food chain. So setting up technology in food security will enable the food chain management. I just want to end up with some conclusions. I think we have scientific and technology innovations in food chain management and food security, and they can give benefit to global and regional challenges. But again, there is interdisciplinary research is crucial, but also cooperation. We have to make some decisions, not in 2050, but now. And we need some scientific innovation. And this needs support. And to end with a citation of, again, of Godfrey and all, because I really think this brings it to a point. The goal is no longer simply to maximize productivity, but to optimize across a far more complex landscape of production, environmental, and social justice outcome. So, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Bücking. And I'm extremely happy that you also ended on a very positive note. There is technology around which can help to challenge, to actually address the challenges. Did you have the opportunity to talk to colleagues who are interested in collaboration during the past couple of days?
Yes, I had. So I'm really looking forward. There are some nice ideas. There are some very good scientists. I think that this is a really fruitful cooperation possibility since we have some technology. Fraunhofer in general is technology driven. But we do not have experience with the regional, with the Egypt challenges. So this is really a very nice situation for scientific cooperation.
Good. Then I have to add another piece of good news, because you mentioned you have a representative in Egypt, in Cairo, and in fact the good news is that it is also located on the DAD premises in Cairo, in Zamalek. We try to act as a one-stop shop for German research, so if you want to both visit Fraunhofer and DAD, you can do it in one trip. Thank you so much, Dr. Bücking. And I would like now to come to Professor Amiz Ragab, who, as I told you, is a professor at Cairo University. In fact, she is a professor of pediatrics and pediatric hematology. She's not only professor, she's not only a doctor, she's also very active in the management of research, and she is member of the Research Ethics Committee at her university, and also member of the Higher Education Committee of NACWAHI, the National Authority for Quality Assurance and Accreditation. Professor Amiz, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Harms. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like first to thank the German Academic Exchange Office and the Bibliotheca Alexandrina for granting me the honor and the pleasure to be one of the speakers today. And the session today is about how the cooperation is very vital and important in the process of transformation Egypt is going through. My task is very easy. I'm going to talk about how global cooperation improves the quality in education and research, and this does not have to have any proof, it's evident. But I'll just give you a few examples from the institute I proudly belong to, which is the Faculty of Medicine, Cairo University. Professor Ernst this morning said that science is international. It has been and it always will be, because science, research, and communities of scholars naturally interact across borders. They do that. But acquiring knowledge in this globalized world has become very, very complex, and involvement, although increasing globalization of technology is tremendous, involvement of developing countries in producing new technologies and innovations is almost negligible. But globalization processes are increasingly affecting higher education system. But there is always the disadvantage or the doubt or the suspicion of a commercial aim when the academic cooperation involves both a developing and a developed country. And examples are the branch campuses which are present in so many parts of the world. But direct collaboration between two higher education institutions creates a big possibility for transferring knowledge and innovative practices. The advances in information technology and accelerated knowledge, they create a threat to any education system that cannot keep pace. So every institution in the world has to run very fast to be in the front always. The same applies to research. Research cannot be divorced from higher education. One needs to reinforce the other. But research is getting more and more expensive, and external funding is needed to conduct good research. From my medical background, I have to mention this, according to the Global Forum of Health Research, that only 10% of global funds are directed to solve 90% of health problems. And to treat this 10-90 gap, there has to be a cooperation between the North and the South. Egypt is a Mediterranean partner with highest ambitions and a very, very strong potential. So how can life sciences and cooperation in research support the transformation process in Egypt? First, I have some very quick facts about the higher education sector in Egypt. It exists since more than 1 century, with 18 public universities. The number of teaching staff approaches 60,000. The staff-student ratio is variable. Al-Azhar University operates since 975 and has almost 500,000 students, plus the private universities now emerging in Egypt. The number of publications is taken as an index of the research productivity. In Egypt, nearly all research is published, mostly in local journals, a minority in international and regional journals. According to the Eastern Mediterranean, the Index Medicus of the Eastern Mediterranean region, the most publishing institutions in the Middle East are Tehran University and Cairo University, who publish more than 2/3 of publications from the area. But the research entity at the Egyptian universities does not fully exploit its research capacity and does not realize its full potential. I've been responsible for the area of research as a vice dean and dean for the last 6 years, and I can give you examples from the Faculty of Medicine, Cairo University, which exists since 1827, that we don't fully exploit all our potentials. We are sitting on gold mines, and we have a research capacity which still to be explored and used. And I have to say that the greatest cooperation in research performed during the past few years was through the German Academic Exchange Office. These are few facts about the faculty. There are about 20,000 students between under and postgraduate, about 3,000 faculty, and 2 million patients a year. with 5,200 beds over 8 hospitals. The strengths and weaknesses, there are naturally points of strength and points of weaknesses, but the most important point of strength is the number and mix of patients. Name it, you can find in any category of illnesses a big number because we are a draining hospital for the whole of Egypt. We have a research plan which includes the 3 areas of research: basic, clinical, and community-based research, and tackling the most important health problems in the Egyptian community. And we follow an academic culture based on merit-based norms so that faculty members who publish in international journals are acknowledged and are supported financially. We have international relations with several prestigious institutes, and these are some statistics from the data of the Research Ethical Committee, where the numbers of projects applied to the Research Ethical Committee are rising, and by the end of 2011, this number rose to 103. Here, the type of research, we can see that basic research is very deficient, and clinical research may be half of the projects, and 40% of research is funded by international pharmaceutical companies. And within the clinical trials, we have the phase 2 and the phase 3 trials comprising half of the projects applying to the Research Ethical Committee. We have several research projects to FP6 and FP7 project and NIH projects and STDF projects, which are following the Egyptian Science and Technology Development Fund. I just mentioning some of the international projects like this one, the NIH project, studying the risk factors for neonatal hyperbilirubinemia, where 246 patients were enrolled in no time with severe hyperbilirubinemia. This would have taken ages in the United States to collect about 250 kids with a bilirubin of 30. And this particular project, they are studying the effect of free bilirubin. Nobody thought of free bilirubin before. And so this is an advance in research and the cooperation using the high tech of the Western industry and the availability of patients and the presence of highly equipped and highly experienced researchers here in Cairo to develop a new scientific rules. The FP7 projects provide cooperation with the multiple European centers, either through the cooperation framework or through the health part. And one example of this is the Ramses project, which is named after our Ramses because Egypt was booming in the era of Ramses the Great. And it runs through a consortium between the University of Cologne and the Institute of Cellular Biology and Pathology in Budapest and Cairo University. Prior to that, there has been we sent 2 scholars also funded by the DAD to Cologne, and they stayed for 5 months a year for 3 years and ended up by having 2 PhDs with 2 wonderful dissertations from Cologne. This is the statement of the objectives as it was written in the project: to enable the Mediterranean partner country to get state-of-the-art knowledge and skills in stem cell research and possible future stem cell therapy through exchange of know-how, through reinforcement of human resources, workshops, conferences, and training events. And the effect of this is increasing the research quality, competitiveness, and visibility of the Department of Pediatric Cardiology in Cairo. So who can doubt or who can debate that the cooperation does not improve the quality of research and education? This is another FP7 project, which is called the DEEP project. The DEEP project is a clinical trial evaluating the effect of a drug in 15 centers, 12 centers in Europe and only 3 centers outside Europe. And I'm proud also to say that we're recruiting 190 patients from the required 300 patients of the whole project. Lastly, I'm coming to the transformation partnerships, which are done also through the DAD to strengthen research cooperation and scientific exchange by partnerships between Egyptian and German universities. And this transformation partnership involving our faculty is aiming to have a master's degree in health economics between the faculties of medicine and faculty of economics, Cairo University, with the technical assistance from the Institute of Health Economics in Cologne. And we are aiming or dreaming of having afterwards a joint degree between the German and the Egyptian universities. It's also sponsored by the DAD. The Kickoff conference will be held next Wednesday at the premises of the DAD. And there has been a fact-finding mission which was held last January. And here we can see the German side on the right and the Egyptian side on the left, with the picture on the stairs down during this fact-finding mission. And this is the poster of the Kickoff meeting, which will be held next Wednesday in Cairo. I will end by quoting this, that the economic and intellectual prosperity of any nation depends on its ability to significantly improve its global competitiveness, and to achieve this, it must upgrade and diversify the skills and knowledge of human resource through greater collaboration and connectivity. Collaboration is important, connectivity is important. Research has no value unless it is shared with other people across borders. Egypt's capacity in research needs to be strengthened. The quality of education and research ought to be better. Their intensity should increase. The process of internationalization needs to be strengthened, because it is both a means and an end, and engagement with the international research area has to be fortified. I will end by a beautiful view of Cairo University, which celebrated 100 years a few years ago. And again, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor Aziz, and thank you so much for bridging, our topic from the being partner in research to being partners in transformation and collaboration. I would like to add a question, if I may. Obviously, you have a wealth of international contacts, and you were talking about FP7 projects and the various endeavors you have embarked on with German partners. What would you say to young researchers who have not yet got the opportunity to work with international partners? How should they go about these things? How do they establish contacts?
I think it's more the role of institutions rather than the young researchers alone, because if the institution does not have a strategic plan and does not have a research plan and does not guide the people, their people, into the right path, it will be a very hard task for the young researcher himself or herself to find an opportunity or a good one. I think this has to be done through organization within the institutions.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure we will have some time to discuss this later on. I now would like to come to our fourth speaker, Professor Ahmad Aziz. Actually, from an institutional point of view, you have two hats on. You are obviously affiliated with the Freie University Berlin. I've said that, Department of Physics. But you also are with the Helmholtz-Zentrum Berlin. Helmholtz is yet another research organization, a very esteemed one in Germany. You are the head of the junior research group of functional materials in solution. I'm sure that you will tell us exactly what that is. You have been granted a scholarship with the DAD, and I would like to know from you, as somebody who is still working in Germany, your attitude, your approach towards collaboration with other countries, with Egypt in this particular case. Right. Please, you have the floor.
So thank you for such beautiful introduction. It's a great pleasure for me to be in Egypt or back in Egypt after almost 12 years making my scientific career and building my research team in Germany. So for this, I would like to thank the committee, the president of the Bibliotheca, and everyone involved for bringing me here. And as you see from the title of my talk, from BVA scholarship to professorship, so BVA opens the door, gives the chance to go ahead. So I would like to thank the BVA for opening this door, not only, but also today opening this door again to come here and give a chance for me to transfer my little experience to some of you. And I hope this model experience can help young guys here who plan the future career in Germany or in Europe or outside in general, and give some supportive information. So, as has been mentioned, I basically have half of my team in the Free University Berlin Department of Physics, and the second half of my team in the Helmholtz Zentrum Berlin, and we do some research related to structure and dynamics of functional material in solution. And functional material in solution basically vary from biological material, chemical material, also solar cell. I pick up here one example published recently on the cover of PCCB for investigating, okay, I hold this opposite obviously, for investigating the structure of water and the interaction of water with the material of leaves. Anyway, it was hard for me to prepare talk today because I basically used to give talk about science, so to connect science and society. So as I said, I will talk about myself. Also, it is not the best to talk about yourself, but I will try to pick up some glances on myself and showing how international collaboration and network is a crucial step for your future and career if you are planning to go further in the scientific field. So my bachelor was from Ain Shams University, and the first step to be connected externally was starting from the second and third year of my bachelor. They have a nice program to take the top 1 students from the university and bring them together outside from all different countries. And then you spend 3 months. You suddenly find yourself in one room in Berlin, namely, and you have students from all area of the earth, from Brazil, from Canada, from Russia, from China, from Israel. All these people met in one room. So I think the government, some government of these people will never met in one room, but they still met. They have to handle not only science, but communication. And you find by some weeks that to deal with people, you are dealing with human, not anymore government, and you enjoy the society. You learn a lot, and you start to take the very first step to internationalize yourself and change a very conservative blocks of thinking, which anyone will suffer as long as you are isolated. The second step of this for going international and connecting myself outside was in my PhD, where I did my PhD between the Helmholtz Zentrum Berlin and Free University Berlin and the Berkeley Lab Advanced Light Source. So it was 2 wonderful places to be connected. So every half year, I am in USA or come back to Germany. It was exhausting after some time, especially I'm quite nervous in airplane. So it happened to be a really very tough time. So I have to be sure that the 2 nights before I travel, I don't sleep, that I sleep directly in the flight. And after this, I went to be a guest scientist in Lausanne. And in Lausanne, I enjoyed to be hosted by a Syrian professor, very famous and very successful. His name is Majid Shaghi. And I was surprised to know that Arab people are quite, not only just postdoctor or just doctors, they have a lot of chairs outside in professorship, and they are outstanding. Up to date, where my current condition is between the Free University and the Helmholtz Zentrum Berlin. So obviously from these small glances you can see easily that international collaboration and network, which you have to initiate it by yourself. You don't need to wait for your professor to give you the way. You can do this, and sometimes it's hard to find the way, but if you are patient enough, you can get it. So international collaboration and network, I talk about only my perspective and little experience in my research team, as I said. And few points, I will stress it. The first point is know how and develop further. When I start to build my research in Berlin, we have recognized that in Switzerland, there is a nice ideas and very outstanding in mixing like laser and X-ray. I don't want to make it complicated for you, but we want to transfer this idea to Berlin. So all what we did, we got a grant from Berlin, we went to Switzerland, we learned the idea, we spent some months there, we turned it back, we integrated. And not only integrating the idea, but developing this idea further in a way that it went beyond what people in Switzerland was doing. And it has been recognized with many prizes, ended with the Karl Chair for the Physical Society of Berlin. So, but once you do this, you already create the international network. You start to work with different professors, different groups, wide world. So you are forced to be rapidly running with very fast development in research and technology. The world around you running up very fast. And if you're connecting yourself with all this scientific society, you are forced to grow up with all these people. And this will have the back donation for yourself, because once you start to put your grant and put, like, I would say if I'm a professor in Cairo University and I want to put my grant, I would get even stronger chance to join my grant with other lands. Like just a few months ago in Germany, I could have opportunity to put my grant with American partner, and we could submit it. So we have stronger connections, and the grant will be funded by 2 lands, not only 1 land. So this is what I call the feedback of the networking. You find the proper partner, you experience some knowledge, and you can go further for collaboration and grant attraction. And this help back because, as you usually hear, science is international. If these people don't join you, the research ideas and grants and connections, they can be your reviewer or recommend and support your research. So to isolate yourself, as I hear today early that some people was proposing, why we go outside, let's save our money. This is not saving. You invest to get better. So I switch then to talk, because I hope that I convince you at this point that international network and collaboration, one of the important issues, you have to consider it to build your scientific career. And now I will try to convince you that Germany is one of the places that you will enjoy and can go further for this issue. And the limit is the sky, as I keep telling my students. The first thing in Germany, which I personally appreciated, is the bilingual study. When I decided to go to Germany to make my master, the first issue for me is the language. Before I go to Germany, I know only 2 sentences in German, Guten Tag and Ich liebe dich. So that means this is the 2 safety sentences you need to say in the train, and if a beautiful woman sat beside you. But as a master student, I want to go there and I want to not waste my time for just learning a language. I want to go directly to my study. And the bilingual program offers there to start first semester. This is bilingual program supported by the DAAD in the Free University Department of Chemistry. You start study the first semester in English. So the minimum required you need to have is English. And I think anyone here want to go outside need to have the foreign language, which at least it should be English. And then in parallel, you study German language in the first semester, but all your courses are in English. And then the second semester, you start slowly to add on some lecture in German. So I think it's fair enough. I don't lose any day for learning German language. But I would learn it in parallel to achieve my goal. But if you are going there, I have some PhD students coming from Pakistan, from Lebanon, and so on. And in PhD, it's not like the state. In PhD, you start your research directly, and it's quite fast. It's 3 years in science. So that means you are not attending 1-year course and so on. So it's quite fast and efficient, and the independency for the PhD is quite amazing, and I have to stress this in Germany. I supervise, by the way, students from the state. And in the States, they learn in the beginning to be just students and listen to the supervisor to do what he gives for order. In Germany, you start the independency quite early enough, and basically in your master thesis. So that means in your PhD, you are going to start research. You will not waste your time for going to attend lectures that you may not use. You will read only what you need. So for this, the DAAD offer scholarships, and it's fairly distributed, that in the first semester, you will get a condensed German course. And you would say, okay, but this is wasting another half year. First of all, learning the language is not wasting. If you want to integrate in any land or any culture, you need to learn the way they talk. If I am German and I want to live in Egypt here, I would learn Egyptian language. And I was surprised by many team members of the DAD, German talking Egyptian language, and it's really in a good level. So the language is very important, but I have experience with Pakistani students. Even while she studied German language in the first semester, she contacted me and said, can you give me some literature and books to read in parallel? So after the first half year, she was able to talk German, and she has the basic knowledge of the research that we are doing, so she doesn't start from scratch. And it can be even in some cases better than other people who start and have the language before. This is besides that many lectures, as we push in the Free University to give it in English for the international students, and the research talk in my team, for example, is carried on in English. So you don't need to scare yourself to say how I will communicate. But it doesn't mean that I dismotivate you to learn the language. It's quite important because it will help you further to integrate. The second point for science in Germany is university and institution, which is quite impressive. And the connection between, now when you go to Germany to study, you are not going to free university. Like for example, in my case, I carried on research group between center and university. So you will carry your research in two places. It's not only in my team, and it's a lot, but I keep myself example in the team, and I have my team in the Free University team, where we build our laser X-ray experiments in the labs there. It basically costs more than €1.5 million. And we use the light source of the center, Helmholtz Center in Berlin, X-ray the experiment here, and this ring that produces this light source is bigger than here, the Bibliotheca. So bridging these things, we could be able, based on grants that's supported by German government, it was more than $1.5 million, and European grants, namely ERC, more than also $1.5 million. So the opportunity that you get grant and go further is quite interesting in the land. There they will help you not only to stand, but also to go further. So a lot of scholarship, even for postdoctoral scholarship, Humboldt scholarship, Einstein scholarships, and all these kind of things that any of you interested, I can talk later in details due to time limitation. But they can also let you go further. So they give you opportunity to have a starting grant. As I win the first starting grant, it's called Young Investigator Helmholtz. I think I was the first Egyptian who got it, a young Egyptian in age and in land to get it there. And they don't give you just the money like this, but they give you also management workshop to learn how to manage a research group. They offer you professional coaching and tutor coaching. So that means if you have a problem with your students, you can go to professors which have earlier experience than you and learn from him how to communicate with your students and come back and solve your problem. Science and society is my last slide, and this is the greatest example I can tell you. This is the synchrotron. It's a huge building where we produce X-ray for experiments. And this is called BESI 2. It's in Helmholtz Centrum. And BESI 1, Germany give it as a present to Jordanian. It's called Sesam. And there they can make a very outstanding research connecting the European, the Middle East research there in this center. So this shows you the limit is the sky for the international collaboration and network. And to the end, I thank you for attention.
Dear Professor Aziz, I think we understand better now how your remarkable career in Germany came about. Thank you very much for your inspiring presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have tried to give you some ideas of German universities and research institutions as being partners in research and also being partners in transformation. We would like to give you the opportunity to ask questions. If you have any, we have 2 mics here in the middle. Please come up, introduce yourselves, and ask your question. Please, the gentleman over there.
My name is Amir. I work as a project manager in Sustainable Development Unit at Industrial Modernization Center. It's a governmental organization for sustainable development and business development. I have one comment to Dr. Ahmad. Thank you for your presentation. And with these beautiful facilities you have, I think the sky even is not a limit. You have to think about the sky and what's going on in this sky. So sky is not a limit anymore. And
thank you.
And I have 2 questions. First, about linking between this beautiful work on research and business society, because I don't know, maybe you can explain more if you have kind of cooperation not only with educational institutions, but also with business organizations, maybe not directly with companies, but with these organizations that work on business development or work with sustainable development, where you can find implementation of this research. And second thing I would like to ask about is about opportunities for grants for master or PhD in sustainable development and management, not only scientific research. There are opportunities for this kind of maybe logistics or management in sustainable development or development in general. And thank you for your beautiful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to collect 2 to 3 questions, if there are any, and then answer them. I think we should take somebody from the right, please. The colleague over there.
Thank you. My name is Samah, and I'm studying nuclear engineering. I want to ask if Germans still have research in nuclear engineering or nuclear science in general, because I've heard that you stopped this from my professors here, and I want to know. Thank you.
That's a very short one. I think we'll answer that in a moment. Then the gentleman over there.
My name is Hassan Aziz. I'm from the American University in Cairo. I'm professor of chemistry. Professor Daniel have showed us the population pyramid in Egypt. It looks very nice. But what about the economy and other issues in Egypt? Last week, I had an entrepreneurship and innovation conference at the American University in Cairo. And the final recommendation of this conference is that innovation and entrepreneurship are crucial for economic development in Egypt. There was an article in Science magazine comparing Egypt, Germany, and Turkey with regard to GDP and other issues, and you know the conclusions. Yesterday, I was attending TWAS conference here at the Bibliotheca, and I found out from one of the speakers that GDP made by Toyota, which hires 24,000 employees, is more than the GDP of Egypt. That is consists of 85 million people. The DAD works since 1960 and doing a wonderful job in giving scholarship and sending scholars to Germany and bringing them back. But after the revolution, what would be the strategy for the DAD? We need to change. We need to reshape the future of Egypt. We need to focus in innovation and entrepreneurship. We need to focus on small and medium enterprises that are built on innovation and technology. And in this effect, I would like to encourage more the ADD to focus more on scholarship geared toward technology, like Dr. Mark and Fraunhofer Institute, to teach our faculty member and younger staff new technology that address pain in the Egyptian society and problems and develop solutions, and come here and start small businesses to solve the problem and create new jobs and support the economy. I really appreciate your effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope we can be concise so that we can answer as many questions satisfactorily as possible. Dr. Amir, you asked about, you raised a very important topic about the linkage from research to business. Well, first of all, just one sentence from myself. The German system is known that it, by default, has a very close relationship between industry and university. We have Professor Daniel from the Technical University Munich, where a special and even closer relationship to industry is in place. She is probably going to say something about that. And we have with Dr. Bücking somebody who works for a research organization where they even have commissioned research, where a company comes and says, we have a certain problem, can you help us in solving that? But I think, these two colleagues are a lot more apt than myself to answer the question, but it is in general inbuilt in the system anyway, and we try to actually gap this bridge.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think it's crucial to talk about industry, the needs of the industry, and from a Fraunhofer point of view, looking to our industry partners in a statistical way, we do most of our research together with SMEs. SMEs have a very, so to say, sloppy definition in Germany and Europe, as you know. But looking to food industry, I think there is some certain match also with Egypt. Sometimes you have 10, 20 people in a company, and you do not have a research director in this company. So we face the same challenge to help these people to build in new solutions. And whether you look to Germany, where you have 95% SMEs in food business, or Europe, which is 99.1, I think we are fully aware of it, and over 50% of our industry clients are somehow related to SMEs. So, we have about 30 to 40% in total to do with industry. So I think we know some of the challenges which industry has to face. And that's the reason why I put also, when I talked about food chain management, the list of business fields, as you remember, food safety, food quality, and so on. But on the other hand, I put economic points on the list, and this is really dedicated to industry.
Okay, I can make a short comment on your question. Of course, Germany stepped out of nuclear power. Well, I thought this was an amazing thing. You know, usually Germans turn on the brain first and calculate whether it is possible or not. This time, we took a decision without asking whether we can handle it. So, your question related to, is there any science still with respect to safety in nuclear power? As far as I recall, but maybe she can comment on that. We still have radiation safety at the Technical University, because even if you shut down nuclear power stations, they're not gone, okay? So you have to take, for deconstruction, disassembling of the whole thing, it's a real challenge. And so there is even some science, and at the educational level, yes, there is some expertise in Germany, and you can even study this in specialized programs on nuclear power and safety issues related on that. So coming to the industry, Mark Becking said, you know, the German industry, and this applies actually for most of Europe, is small and medium enterprise. And even Europe has a problem there. You know, because the investment in R&D is extremely low in this area of food production, distribution, etc. It may be not as low as in Egypt, but it is a real problem. And the European Commission is putting out all kinds of dedicated programs on that. Bring more innovation into the food production, distribution systems. It's of course a completely different world if you talk about the big players in the food area, the Nestle's and Unilevers and Krafts of this world. They know what science is all about. They look for their partners all over the planet, and they invest really big money into R&D. You may have heard that Nestle founded a new company, the Nestle Health SA. They founded a new research center at the University of Lausanne. They're going to invest about 1 billion Swiss francs there in new businesses and research. So compared to the engagement of the big industry in the food area, whatever we talk about with a small, medium enterprise is a real problem, okay? Yet, there are specialized programs in place, and I guess this would be a great idea to bring some of the experts to Egypt and talk about bilateral things. Talking about the Technical University of Munich, it's strong in engineering, so we have very close relationships to car manufacturing, for example. I mean, in Bavaria, there's Audi, there is BMW. I had to learn when I was appointed at this university that is a very special kind of thing, a very, very close and intense collaboration between industry and academia. So we are the cadre school, if you like, yeah, for people that then move on to car manufacturing, electrical engineering, etc., etc. And last words to your comment, where should in Egypt come the money from? I mean, you gave most of the answers, actually, already. I think there is money in this country. We were talking about this morning in the bus, and I said, Jesus, here is a lot of money, obviously. So, it's priority discussion. Yeah, and I mean, she made a strong point on that. So you have to put your new government under pressure, and you will rely, as all of us, on intellectual capability. And you have much better than all of us, bright young people. Yeah, literally thousands and thousands and thousands of great, fantastic young people. Right. So don't worry about the future. The future is yours.
One thing is, what I'm concerned about is a focus on basic research. This country is not yet ready to make use of any basic research that we sent our young staff to learn from outside and come back. The environment is not ready to receive. One person will go get a master's degree or PhD degree, does a wonderful job in Germany, in US, everywhere that Wakat have done and what Ahmad has done. But when we come back here, the environment is not ready to accept this basic research and the result of this and use this. If we focus some of the scholarship, I have some focus on innovation outside, so they can learn small, and we don't have to have a high tech. We can develop low tech, and still innovation, but low tech innovation that meet then the needs and solve problems within the society, to improve food quality, to improve water quality, to reduce pollution. We have many problems in all sectors. This is what maybe, and as I was trying to say, for the DAD, if we can have
well, that's what he proposed. There is, a program in place where the young people that have earned their degrees and have done good science can get money for going back and establish their own research infrastructure here. I think it's a great idea.
Before I give the word to colleagues, can I just clarify something, or answer actually a question that has been raised? Dr. Amir, you specifically asked about sustainable development. Yes, we do. We have a scholarship program on the master level, and we have also a program on the doctoral level, particularly for sustainable development. I'll be happy to provide you with some information in the break. Number one. Number two, Dr. Hassan again from the AUC. On Wednesday, we have this kickoff meeting for the transformation partnerships, okay? Which is actually the day after tomorrow. We are going to present some, selected projects from various disciplines to the academic public. In fact, one is about entrepreneurship, the thing you raised, and another one deals, at the fringes with small and medium enterprises. In fact, there is a particular master program, which is actually in the University of Leipzig, which deals with SMEs. So again, this has been catered for, and we can offer that. Obviously, this is a worldwide program. I mean, it's always a question of competition and quality for Egyptian candidates to go through. Lastly, from my side, obviously neither Germany nor the DAD can solve, Egyptian problems. We can only, set examples, as it were. We can only help, support, and obviously I hope that these things are here to stay. We are also engaged in setting up a range of master programs, with the help of our transformation programs. And obviously these programs are here to stay. They are, if you want, Egyptian property, and they can be used for the years to come to educate young scholars. But I still have two comments here. Professor Aziz first, sure. Professor Amis afterwards.
Well, I think coming back to your point, I think, and concerning also putting pressure on a government, I still believe that we have to start by ourselves. If every one of us start by changing himself, and I think you'll find a lot of things you can enhance in yourself, in your education, in your research. I think this is step number one. You can change the government every day, and you can put pressure on this in a new one, but you will keep wasting your time if you don't start by yourself. And extending on your comment, I think the DAAD and Germany can help, but in an explicit way. It can help you. If you apply and you are good enough, it will help you to go further. But you have to go further and change yourself. And by changing yourself, you will change your society and your environment. And by changing your environment, you can extend further and further. It's like tumors. Once you start and extend, you will occupy everything. And I mentioned one example. Iranian student was in my team. She spent her master in my team. And I was curious to know what she's doing home. And I contacted the students, know her, and she said to me, oh, she was, before she came to Germany, she was quite calm girl. Now she's back and she's fighting for women, for education, and she have a lot of activity. Recently, she need a recommendation letter to go to Australia and extend further. She start by herself and she extend further. And that's the main point I want to comment on it.
Thank you. Professor Lamis?
I beg to differ. Basic research is very expensive and needs devotion. The key word is devotion, which is lacking in all our scholars. And as I showed in my slides, the percentage of basic research at my faculty is very little, but it is done through cooperation. This Ramses project is not done on patients. It is done a capacity building project to improve the capacity of Egyptian researchers inside the lab. And this can be done through cooperation projects, which are many, either through the EU or through the NIH or through many agencies in different fields of science. And let me quote Nehru when he said, India is so poor that the expenditure on education has to be great. So that إن بلادنا فقيرة جدا إلى الحد الذي يجعلنا ننفق على التعليم بسخاء. This is the extremes. When you are very poor, you have to, your expenditure on education has to be the priority.
The difference between applied and basic research services.
Yeah,
Yes, it does. It does.
There's still obviously food for and need for discussion. And I was going to close the session, but somebody very special raised their hand. Professor Goslan, can you please ask and raise the last question, please?
My name is Hanan Goslan. I'm in Faculty of Science at Alexandria University. First of all, I would like to thank the panelists for the interesting and optimistic push for the young people. I don't want to ask questions. I just want to make a comment and to raise a new point. First, I agree 100% with Professor Aziz. We have challenges that are totally different from European challenges, and we have to deal with that. I agree 100% with Professor Lamis. Basic science needs devotion, and this is not in medicine. This is in science faculties, not in medicine faculties. And this we need also to support a little bit, just to have, let us say, to complete each other, to have this basic knowledge to build up upon it. The new challenge we have, that we have a lot of people now, they are doing research, and surprisingly, they don't want to go abroad. A lot of people here, they will feel astonished now, but I have a lot of students in Alexandria, they don't want to go abroad, and this is, we have to appreciate. But we have to find channels how to support these people while they are here. We have to, I don't want to say fund, but we have to find a way to transfer knowledge and to raise their capacity. Not through funding and master programs and PhD programs abroad, but we have to find ways to support them here. I think this is to be discussed and to see how can we do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe they don't want to go for an entire PhD, but maybe they go for some short-term research and get the flavor of the international experience. Anyway, I mean, we are running 10 minutes late. I think we have to close the session now. I would like to extend my gratitude to all panelists, and I would like you to give them a round of applause, please.